My aunt had gave me a Dremel tool when I was like 12 or 13 years old for my birthday. And she didn't tell me what it was for. She just said, you can make things with this. And then when I was like in my early 20s, I took the Dremel out and I just like started experimenting. And you know, I always tell people like 20 years later, I'm still experimenting. Peoples across the world have used bone and antler for what I guess you could call material culture for tens of thousands of years. And for like Seneca specific, the material obviously before it became more like ornamental and then later more, I guess you could say like art, would be for utilitarian purposes. It's a tradition, again, that goes back to time immemorial, really.
Where do you draw inspiration from? Where do your ideas, what inspires you?
Right, so I usually like answer that question by saying like I'm inspired by two things, what I see and what I don't see. So what I see could be social injustices, calls that our Native people communities are making about something in our society. That's something that I see, so maybe I'll make something around that. Or something that I don't see. And what I mean by that is the challenge of innovating the art form, the challenge of challenging myself to make things that people haven't seen before, or things that I haven't seen before in antler carving, is something that really interests me. I just enjoy sort of challenging the versatility of the material. You know, a lot of the surfaces are flat. Sometimes there's marrow that's involved in a lot of the work. Having to overcome those and push the material to do as much as I can with it, given the limitations in terms of space, depth, and the marrow, is just sort of something that I enjoy doing, actually. So to break down the materials, it starts with like a sawzall is what I use, and that's to like cut up large chunks. And then would be like a grinder, which I use to remove the outside material quickly. And so after I break down the material, then I would take it into my studio. Yeah, and then, but when it comes time to actually doing the carving itself, I'll rough it out with like a Dremel tool. And then to do the fine detail work, I'll use a Fordham, which is more like a jewelry making tool, but it's great for carving too. I'm just all about learning. I'm all about sharing. So if you sort of read through some of my posts on Instagram, or if you follow the stories or anything like that, even if it's not necessarily sharing something about what I do, if I find something that I have an interest in, I share it and maybe somebody else will. But the idea is ultimately to inspire other people.
Obviously, this type of stuff here, because a few the art show for like a year or two. I can't remember. I probably should have kept just to have something, but what I was talking about in that video is the revitalization of this. And there was one year I remember when there was nobody in the category except for me. And now you got Richie's got one, Darylyn's. These are two of hers, but of course she's pumping out a lot of stuff right now. She's really taking off, and this is exciting to me to see like more in the category. Just I don't know, makes me happy. You know what I mean? Because that means that like it's changing a little bit. And then next year maybe there'll be 5, 6 in here, and who knows? It'll be filled up like beadwork one day. Hopefully, that's the whole point, right?
As far as like where do I see my art going, like I said, I just want to show the work. Obviously, I want the work to be acknowledged as culturally relevant, which is why I have this multifaceted approach. It's all just about getting this material into the eyes of as many people as possible. And if it happens via my work, then that's great, because the people that came before me and inspired me did the same thing. Those are the things that I'm most interested in.